Rupert, guys have underestimated me my entire life. And for years, I never understood why. It used to really bother me. But then one day, I was driving my little boy to school, and I saw this quote by Walt Whitman, and it was painted on the wall there. It said, "Be curious, not judgmental." I like that. So I get back in my car, and I'm driving to work, and all of a sudden, it hits me. All them fellas that used to belittle me, not a single one of them were curious. They thought they had everything all figured out, and so they judged everything, and they judged everyone. And I realized that they're underestimating me. Who I was had nothing to do with it. Because if they were curious, they would ask questions.
Welcome to Self-Mastery Labs. Let's get started. Chapter 1. Why do people underestimate others? Judgment is a disease, a toxic, mind-numbing plague that kills potential before it even breathes. And let's get one thing straight. If you're the kind of person who underestimates others, you're not insightful, you're not discerning, and you're definitely not right. What you are is lazy. That's right. Judgment is the lazy person's intellectual shortcut. Instead of doing the work to understand someone, you take one look, slap a label on them, and call it a day. Why? Because it's easier for you to assume than to ask, isn't it? Let me spell it out for you. Judging someone without knowing their story doesn't make you smart. It makes you scared. Scared that if you dug deeper, you'd find out they're not the small, insignificant person you hoped they were. Scared that they might be capable, talented, or downright extraordinary. And that would ruin your neat little narrative, wouldn't it? The one where you're on top and they stay in the box you put them in. But here's the thing. Your judgment says way more about you than it does about the person you're judging. When you underestimate someone, all you're really doing is broadcasting your own insecurities to the world. You're shouting, "I don't have the curiosity to understand, the courage to challenge my assumptions, or the humility to admit I might be wrong." And let me tell you, that's not a good look. What's worse, you're not just wrong, you're pathetically predictable. People like you have existed for centuries. You're the same type who thought Galileo was crazy, said women couldn't vote, and laughed at the Wright brothers because humans can't fly. Congratulations, you're part of a long lineage of people who were so busy clinging to their small-minded views that they completely missed history being made right in front of them. Here's the kicker. When you underestimate someone, you're not actually diminishing them. Oh no, they'll prove you wrong soon enough. What you're really doing is diminishing yourself. You're robbing yourself of the chance to learn something, to connect with someone, to see the world through a different lens. And for what? So you can feel superior for 5 seconds before reality comes crashing down and shows you just how wrong you were. And let's talk about this superiority complex of yours. You think judging someone makes you better than them? Newsflash. It doesn't. It makes you smaller, pettier, and frankly, less interesting. Real strength comes from curiosity, from asking questions, from admitting that you don't have all the answers. But you wouldn't know anything about that, would you? Because that requires effort, and effort isn't your strong suit. Oh, and let's not pretend you're doing this out of some noble intention. You're not just being honest or calling it like you see it. You're hiding behind your judgment because it's easier than facing your own flaws. You judge others to distract from the fact that deep down, you're terrified of being judged yourself. You put others down because you're too scared to lift yourself up. And honestly, that's just sad. So here's a little advice for you. Stop running your mouth and start opening your mind. Stop looking at people like they're problems to solve and start seeing them as stories to learn from. Stop judging and start asking, what's their story? What have they been through? What can I learn from them? These questions won't just make you a better person. They'll make you a more successful one too. Because here's the dirty little secret. The people you underestimate, they're out there grinding, learning, and proving you wrong while you're sitting there, smug and stagnant. And when they succeed, and they will, you'll be left wondering why you didn't see it coming. Spoiler alert, it's because you didn't want to see it. You were too busy being lazy, scared, and small-minded to recognize their potential. But don't worry, they'll be too busy thriving to care what you think. So go ahead, keep underestimating people, keep taking the easy way out. Just know this, every time you do, you're not hurting them, you're hurting yourself. You're shrinking your world, your opportunities, and your impact. And one day, when you look around and realize you've built a life out of nothing but smallness and judgment, you'll only have one person to blame. But hey, maybe I'm underestimating you. Maybe you'll prove me wrong. Maybe you'll finally stop being part of the problem and start being part of the solution. It's your call. Just don't expect the world to wait around while you figure it out. Chapter 2. How does curiosity transform perception? Here's a question for you, and I want you to sit with it for a second. Why are you so damn comfortable assuming you know everything about someone without ever bothering to ask them a single thing? Go ahead, think it through. I'll wait. Because here's the brutal truth. Every time you judge, you reveal more about your own limitations than the person you're judging. You're not showing how smart you are, how clever you are, or how well you've got it all figured out. Nah, what you're really showing is how small your perspective is. You're broadcasting how lazy you are, how scared you are to dig deeper, to understand, to get out of your little box and challenge what you think you know. And guess what? That's not impressive. That's pathetic. You sit there, all high and mighty, casting judgments on people you barely know, acting like you're above them. But all you're really doing is putting on a show for yourself, pretending you've got it all figured out while the rest of us can see your insecurity leaking out from every corner. You think you're revealing their flaws, but in reality, all you're doing is exposing your own weaknesses, your need to control, your inability to be open-minded, your fear of what's outside your own bubble. What's so damn terrifying about asking a simple question? What's so scary about stepping outside your little comfort zone of assumptions and daring to entertain the idea that you might not know everything? Let me tell you something. Your ignorance is showing, and it's glaring. Every time you look at someone, make a snap judgment, and move on without a second thought, you're basically raising a flag that says, I'm too lazy to ask, too scared to understand, too comfortable in my own ignorance. What happened to curiosity? What happened to the idea that, hey, maybe there's more to this person than meets the eye? But no, your brain's too busy looking for the quick, shallow answer. Too busy telling you that you've already got them figured out. Based on what? Their appearance, the way they speak, the assumptions you've lazily packed into their category. You couldn't be more wrong. Because when you skip the questions, when you bypass the effort of truly understanding someone, you don't just miss out on their story, you miss out on your own growth. Curiosity isn't a passive thing. It's not about just sitting there, nodding along to what you think you know. Curiosity forces you to ask, to peel back the layers, to look deeper than the surface and dig until you get to the real truth. But you're too busy judging, aren't you? Too comfortable with your own narrow viewpoint. You're so terrified of what you might discover, so locked into your own beliefs that you can't even entertain the possibility of seeing the world through someone else's eyes. You're that scared to be wrong that you'd rather stay comfortably ignorant. Well, guess what? That's not bravery, that's cowardice. So tell me, what's stopping you from asking the damn question? What's stopping you from taking a second to get curious? Oh, right, you're afraid of what it might reveal. You're afraid that if you stop judging and start asking, you might have to admit that you've been wrong all along. That the narrative you've been telling yourself is full of holes. That the assumptions you've clung to like a crutch are nothing more than a flimsy excuse for not doing the work. Every time you refuse to ask, you make yourself smaller. You reduce your world. You trap yourself in a box of your own making. So go ahead. Keep sitting there, pretending you've got it all figured out while the rest of us move forward, learning, growing, evolving. But here's the thing you need to understand. When you stop asking, when you refuse to dig deeper, you're not just missing out on other people's stories. You're missing out on your own growth. And the sad part? You won't even realize it until you've shrunk your world so small, there's nowhere left to go. You're not as clever as you think. You're just too lazy to ask. And that's a hell of a lot more embarrassing than anything you could judge. Chapter 3. What prevents genuine understanding? So, what the hell is preventing you from understanding anyone beyond the surface? Oh, let me guess. You've got your little preconceived notions, right? Those nice, neat little boxes you've built in your head where everyone has to fit into a category that you've already decided they belong in. And you think that's wisdom? No, my friend, that's your mind shutting down before it even has a chance to open up to real understanding. Your closed mind is your greatest limitation, and it's suffocating any chance of genuine connection. And don't even try to tell me you're not doing this. Look at you, scrolling through social media, judging people you've never met, judging celebrities you've never even exchanged a word with. You're sitting there, comfortably hiding behind a screen, throwing out judgment like it's your damn job. Why? Because it's easy. It's easier to bash someone you don't know than to take a step back and actually understand where they're coming from. It's easier to throw stones from behind your anonymous little keyboard than to face the fact that you have no idea what their life is like. It's easier to keep your mind closed and your assumptions locked tight. But let me tell you something, that's weak. That's cowardice masquerading as confidence. You sit there tearing apart people who are actually doing something with their lives, whether it's celebrities, influencers, or anyone else you've decided isn't worthy of your approval. Meanwhile, what the hell are you doing with yours, huh? I'll wait. Seriously, tell me, what exactly are you doing? Oh, you're comfortable in your little bubble of judgment, thinking that your opinion matters more than someone else's reality. But guess what? Those people you're hating on, they're out there living, creating, trying, failing, succeeding, and doing something that actually matters. And you? You're sitting in your room, wasting your precious time, hurling judgment at people who don't even know you exist. Oh, but when they do find out about you, you really think they're sitting there, shaking in their boots over your opinion. No, my friend, they're too busy living their lives to give a single crap about your half-baked criticism. It's hilarious, really. You're out here hating on people who are pushing boundaries, while you're stuck playing it safe, judging everyone around you. But let me ask you this. What's more pathetic? The person out there risking it all to chase their dreams, or the person sitting on their couch, making snide comments from the sidelines, afraid to do anything of their own? You think you're winning with your judgments? You're losing. You're trapped in a tiny world of your own making, refusing to see beyond your own narrow perspective. And every time you close your mind to someone else's experience, you lose out on the chance to learn something new, something real. You want to talk about the real barrier to understanding? It's your ego, your need to feel superior, to believe that your opinion matters more than someone else's life. It's your unwillingness to challenge yourself, to peel back the layers of your own assumptions and see what's underneath. Because it's easier, isn't it? It's easier to just assume you know what someone's about and keep your world small and safe. But you know what that makes you? Small and boring. You've become so comfortable in your closed off little space that you can't even fathom opening your mind to someone else's reality. Social media? Don't even get me started. It's made this problem worse. It's created a platform where people like you can hide behind a username and tear others down with a level of comfort that's almost comical. You think your judgment matters because you can put it out there for the world to see? Here's a wake-up call. No one cares. You think some celebrity is losing sleep over your opinion of them? They're not. They're too busy living their life, chasing their goals, and building their empire. Meanwhile, you're out here creating drama about people who don't even know you exist. But you're too blind to see that, aren't you? You're too busy pointing fingers to look at the mirror and realize you're the one stuck in the shallow end, afraid to swim in the deep waters of real understanding. Let me tell you something. Genuine connection isn't about judging someone from a distance. It's about being open, being curious, being willing to dig deeper than the surface. But you don't want to do that, do you? You don't want to take the time to really understand someone, because that would mean admitting that you don't have it all figured out. It would mean challenging the assumptions you've clung to, questioning the narrative you've built for yourself. And you're too scared to do that, aren't you? You'd rather stay in your comfortable little bubble, throwing judgment like it's your weapon of choice. But here's the thing. Your weapon is useless when you're fighting the wrong battle. You're not hurting anyone but yourself. So, what's stopping you from understanding? It's not them, it's you. It's your arrogance, your closed mind, your refusal to see beyond your own limitations. You're the one blocking meaningful connection. You're the one preventing yourself from growing. You're the one standing in your own way. So, how about this? Instead of sitting there with your self-righteous judgments, try asking a question. Try getting curious. maybe, just maybe, you'll find out that the world is much bigger, much more complex, and much more interesting than the tiny box you've been living in. But I won't hold my breath. You're too comfortable with your ignorance. Chapter 4. Can personal experiences challenge stereotypes? Can personal experiences challenge stereotypes? Oh, let me tell you something. It absolutely can. But you wouldn't know that, would you? Because you're too busy sitting up there, comfortable in your little bubble of judgment, casting your assumptions without ever bothering to take a step back and actually think. Take a moment to actually understand a person's story. But let me hit you with some realness. Your judgment isn't just a reflection of what you think about someone else. No, it's a reflection of your own intellectual laziness, your unwillingness to see beyond your narrow worldview, your stereotype. It's not a truth about the person you're judging, it's a damn testament to your own poverty of thought. Let me break it down for you with a story about a K-pop idol who's recently been kicked out of his group because of, wait for it, something stupid. He was forced out of his career, stripped of everything he worked for, simply because he had a girlfriend. You heard that right. He's been training for years, sacrificing everything, his time, his energy, his youth, working his ass off to become the best at what he does. He's at the top of his game, living the dream most people would kill for. And all of a sudden, a bunch of delusional fans who clearly have too much time on their hands and not enough sense in their heads decided that his personal life somehow invalidates his career. Why? Because he's in a relationship with a woman. You think about that. You think about how easy it is for these so-called fans who don't know a damn thing about this man's life to just decide his worth based on one small detail, one detail they have no business judging, and in a heartbeat, his entire career is derailed, gone, just like that. The years of hard work, the sweat, the blood, the sacrifices, none of that matters because a few idiots decided they couldn't accept his humanity. Imagine that. Imagine being him. You train your entire life to be great, only to have a bunch of faceless, brainless individuals take it all away with their ignorant, shallow, one-dimensional views. You're out here, doing your job, living your life, and then, boom, you're fired. All because of a stereotype, all because of some warped, dated expectation that no one, not even you, has any business holding you to. And let's be clear, this isn't just about a relationship. This is about a toxic, delusional culture that thinks it has the right to define who people are based on the most insignificant, irrelevant details. People don't care that he's been working for this dream for years. They don't care that he's a human being. All they care about is their narrow little perception of him and how their warped stereotypes fit into the box they've built in their minds. But here's the kicker. These same people, they're not just hurting him, they're hurting themselves. Every time they hold someone to these arbitrary, ridiculous standards, they are showing their own intellectual poverty. You've got the audacity to judge someone based on their personal life, something that has absolutely nothing to do with their work or their talent. You think you know who they are, what they should be, simply based on your own limited worldview? That's not wisdom, my friend. That's lazy. That's intellectually bankrupt. It's easy to sit back and throw stones at people you don't know, people you don't understand. It's easy to pile on assumptions because that way you don't have to confront your own ignorance. You don't have to face the fact that you know nothing about the actual real lives of the people you're judging. But when you reduce someone's humanity to a stereotype, when you think you can define them by some external label, what you're really doing is demonstrating just how little you understand about the complexities of the human experience. And let's not forget, this isn't just about one celebrity. This is about all of us. This is about the fact that every single time you reduce a person to a stereotype, you are erasing their individuality. You're saying their experiences, their stories, their truth don't matter because it doesn't fit into the box you've decided for them. You're too busy judging to understand, too caught up in your own perceptions to see the real person standing in front of you. So let me ask you this, what's your excuse? What's your excuse for thinking you can just make assumptions about people without ever knowing their story? What's your excuse for treating someone like an object to be categorized instead of a human being to be understood? It's easy to point the finger. It's easy to sit back and judge someone from the safety of your own ignorance, but real understanding, that's work. That requires opening your mind and challenging the assumptions you've so comfortably built. It requires admitting that maybe, just maybe, you don't know everything. And when you let go of those stupid, shallow stereotypes, that's when you'll realize that personal experiences have the power to shatter every limiting belief you've ever had. Because no one fits into your little box, not even the people you think you know. So stop judging and start learning. Because in the end, all you're doing when you stereotype someone is proving how much you're missing out on. And the only thing that's more embarrassing than being ignorant is not even realizing how much you're getting wrong. Chapter 5. What empowers personal growth? Let me make this painfully clear. Curiosity is not just some nice-to-have trait. It's a weapon that has the power to obliterate ignorance, dismantle the walls of judgment, and open doors to understanding that most of you would rather leave locked forever. And don't fool yourself, sitting there comfortable in your judgments, thinking you're some kind of authority on everyone around you, because the reality is simple. You're stagnant, you're lazy, and you're irrelevant. You're either evolving or you're sitting there, stuck in your own little bubble, refusing to step out, refusing to even entertain the idea that you might not have it all figured out. Here's the cold, hard truth. When you choose judgment over curiosity, you choose to remain irrelevant. You've already decided that you've got the answers, that you figured out how the world works, that your narrow viewpoint is all that matters. You're stuck in your own echo chamber of assumptions, where you reinforce your own ignorance every time you pass judgment. And let me tell you something, you're not impressing anyone with that attitude. You're not doing anything but confirming just how little you understand about the complexities of life. You're not solving problems, you're perpetuating them. So how's that working out for you? How's it feel to sit there with your mind closed, refusing to ask questions, and acting like you've got a monopoly on truth? Let me tell you, you don't. And the worst part, you've locked yourself in. Your own lack of curiosity has sealed you off from any real growth, from any chance of expanding your understanding. And that's on you. The world is changing. People are evolving. The moment you stop being curious is the moment you stop growing. You think you're above learning? You think you know it all? Newsflash. Curiosity is the very thing that forces you to challenge your assumptions, to confront the truths you don't want to face, and to break free from the limits you've set on yourself. Without it, you're nothing but a prisoner of your own ignorance. It's as simple as that. So, here's the deal. Curiosity is the antidote to everything you think you know. It's the tool that cuts through your self-righteous judgments and exposes the flaws in your thinking. Every time you choose to be curious, you break free from your own narrow perspective. Every time you stop to ask questions, to listen, to learn, you're giving yourself the chance to grow, to evolve, to be better than you were yesterday. But every time you choose to judge, every time you close your mind off to new ideas, you're staying exactly where you are, stuck in your own ignorance, irrelevant, and constantly getting left behind. So, which one is it going to be? Keep pretending you have all the answers, or step up and actually do the work it takes to evolve. It's your choice. But know this, the world is moving forward, with or without you. You can sit there in your little bubble of judgment, or you can choose to be better. You can choose to evolve. But if you refuse to ask, to learn, to understand, you'll be stuck in the same place forever, watching everyone else get ahead while you waste your life being too proud, too stubborn, and too ignorant to even try. Your choice. But don't come crying when everyone else is out here living their best lives, growing, evolving, and breaking barriers, while you're stuck, irrelevant, locked in your own judgmental hell. Because guess what? Curiosity isn't going anywhere. It's the last thing standing between you and your next level. If you want to get anywhere in life, evolve, or remain irrelevant. So, here we are. You've been called out, dragged through your own biases, and now there's only one thing left to ask. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to keep coasting through life, letting judgment and assumptions run the show? Or are you finally ready to step up, ask the uncomfortable questions, and actually learn something? Because here's the truth. Every lazy opinion, every uninformed judgment, and every time you choose to stay in your comfort zone, you're not just holding others back, you're holding yourself back. Now, here's your challenge. Think about the last person you judged. Your coworker, your neighbor, or that celebrity you trashed online? What would happen if you actually tried to understand them instead? What would you discover if you asked one damn question instead of making up your own story? Drop your thoughts in the comments, but don't just stop there. Go out and actually do the work. Because if you're not curious, if you're not willing to challenge your own assumptions, then let's be real, you're not growing. And the world, it's leaving you behind. Prove me wrong. I dare you.